Joining me now, Huffington Post contributor Josh Silver. He's the founder and CEO of Free Press, a nonprofit, nonpartisan public interest group that focuses on media and tech issues. Thanks for some of your time tonight, sir.
You bet, Keith.
Is this doomsday, or more correctly, was it already been doomsday?
Time's going to only tell on this one. I mean, this is a fascinating fight. It's a good lead-in, and really what we've had is a 5-year battle that most people have never heard about over this seemingly arcane issue of net neutrality. What most Americans don't know, though, is that net neutrality is the game changer for the future of all media. Soon, with increasing speeds, television, radio, phone service, emerging technologies, all of it delivered with a high-speed internet connection. So the rules of the road set by government and obeyed by companies like Verizon and Comcast and AT&T, that is going to fundamentally shape the internet. So far, for the last 5 years, Google was on the side of the public and other internet companies in favor of net neutrality. Verizon, Comcast, NBC were against it. Then, this big announcement this week, Google and Verizon cutting a deal in the context of what you mentioned, an amazing debacle of government where you actually have a Federal Communications Commission that has no authority over the internet, thanks to a bad decision by the Bush-era FCC. So only time will tell, but the good news is there's an easy solution. The leader of the Federal Communications Commission, Chairman Janikowski, could solve this with an up-and-down vote.
But if the FCC is not in charge of oversight from a governmental point of view, is anybody in charge of it? I mean, is the Federal Trade Commission in charge? Anaconda Wire? Who's in charge?
Nobody. This is the problem, and it really shows just how badly money has corrupted the government. I mean, we've got a situation where the phone companies spend, they're second only to the pharmaceutical companies in Washington spending. They've got the majority of the U.S. Congress on their side on this issue, and they know it. So they're running the table. The Federal Communications Commission is the only agency who can regulate on this, and so far the chairman, Obama's appointee, has sat on his hands since that court decision last April. The only thing that's going to work is if people across the country understand the gravity and importance of this issue and actually start to get involved.
How did Alan Grayson, who's been one of the progressive heroes of the last 6 to 8 months, how did he get on the wrong side of this? He's against net neutrality?
It's crazy. He's saying that Congress should make the decision and not the Federal Communications Commission because, who knows, the next FCC could change the rules again. But the problem is, as I said, you know, it's important to know, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Henry Waxman, most of the leadership in the Congress right now, they're good on this issue. They support net neutrality and they support consumers. But, you know, the rest of the Congress is not good. 74 Democrats came out against net neutrality and against the FCC reclassifying or reasserting authority, and all but one Republican House member is against agency authority. So, you know, it's once people start to understand, though, that this is the big game changer, then things can and will have to change, because the president has come out a big supporter of net neutrality, as has the FCC chairman.
All right, sketch out briefly the worst-case scenario if nothing happens.
So the worst-case scenario is this. We've only got about another year where anything's going to happen in Washington. Then the 2012 elections are on the horizon, and it's going to be gridlock in Washington. The worst-case scenario is the FCC chairman continues to sit on his hands. The president of the United States continues to be silent. The Congress continues to threaten that FCC chairman and tell him not to do anything. And in that environment, the deal that's being cut by Google and Verizon, which would allow toll roads on the internet and would completely take a pass on wireless and let anything, Wild West of wireless, that would become the de facto law. And essentially we'd have industry self-regulating in the exact same way they did with the oil industry and the same way they did with the big banks. And we saw what that gets us.
Josh Silver, founder of Free Press, great thanks for the insight and for the time tonight.
You bet.